heritage that dates back to before New Mexico was a state. We've been improving the health of the Four Corners since 1910. As a nonprofit hospital, San Juan Regional Medical Center is a values-driven organization. We strive to deliver on our mission to personalize health care and create vitality and enthusiasm in healing. We are here for you when you need us, offering a comprehensive range of inpatient, outpatient, and emergency care services. Friday morning here on KSJE. You're listening to the Scott Michlin Morning Program. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for tuning in. And a special good morning to our viewers who are watching our visual radio program on the KSJE Facebook page and YouTube channel. I'm joined in the studio by my guests who will be talking about a number of events that are coming up to benefit Sexual Assault Services of Northwest New Mexico. Their Executive Director, Eliana Butler, is here with us this morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Always great to have you here, but it's a busy month. April will be for you, right?
That's right. It's time.
It is time, but we're glad you slowed down just enough to come in and talk with me. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Also joining us in the studio is Haley Bassing, who is the director of the Vagina Monologues this year. Once again, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here, because you've done this before, right?
Yeah.
Directing this production.
Just a few times.
Just a few, but it's always great to have you, and I know everyone appreciates your expertise in doing this, so
sure.
Thank you for being here. And also the kind of coordinator, planner, organizer of the Vagina Monologues, Annette DiGiacomo, is here as well. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Scott.
Thank you for coming in this morning.
Thank you for having us.
Great to have all of you here to talk about this great series of events that we're going to be talking about. And so, Eliana, let me start with you, and let's get started by talking about the events that you have planned for. Again, this is part of Sexual Assault Awareness Month, the month of April.
Correct. That's right. Yes, and so we're excited because this April is actually our 15th year for Sexual Assault Services. So it's our 15th anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
And there's been a lot of growth over that 15 years from your humble beginnings, correct?
A lot of growth. That's what I tell people. When we started in early 2004, we didn't have anything, right? So
I mean, almost literally, you didn't have anything,
didn't have
right?
anything.
Yeah.
And when I first came on, so it's exciting for me too, because it's my 15th year,
right?
And such an honor to have been part of this process and the growth and meeting really important needs in the community for survivors, their families, friends, and then just the awareness around the issue over the last 15 years has been pretty phenomenal.
Right. And so as we talk about that, and I think even nationwide, even worldwide, there's a lot more focus on the issue of sexual assaults and the survivors of sexual assaults.
That's right. You know, we've always talked about sexual assault, and this is still the case, that it's this silent epidemic. And through a lot of hard work, through many, many people and a lot of brave survivors coming forward in many different levels, it has really become not so silent epidemic. And there's still a lot of people that we need to support through coming forward, and they're not comfortable talking about it or telling a friend or making a police report. And so we're constantly working on that issue. But because there's such a national dialogue now, on many levels, in the military, in college, universities, on campuses, in industry. I mean, there's just so much that have happened over the last couple of years through the Me Too movement. So we have our traditional events that we've done for a lot of years that we're doing, and the first one is on Tuesday evening.
Next week already,
next week,
right? Yeah.
Yes, so we're kicking off April 2nd. For Sexual Assault Awareness Month with Take Back the Night, and you have
we're showing it on the screen if folks are watching us on video.
Right.
The kids are all watching the video these days. That's what we hear, so that's why we're doing this. So, you know,
way to
the
connect with
YouTubes and the
everybody,
Facebook, you know?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So people, with everything that we're talking about, they can go to our Facebook page, which is SASNWNM, or you search for our name and you'll find it. We have events created for all of these. The first one's Take Back the Night, and this really is an awareness event about a public display of protest against sexual violence and this idea of taking back the night. I mean, sexual violence can happen anytime, anywhere, but often it's at night. And so that's the idea. Traditionally started on college campuses, and because San Juan College isn't yet, soon to be, a residential campus, we do partner with the college on the event, but we've sort of spearheaded it for a lot of years. So you can see from the poster, it starts at 5:30 with meeting at the West Side Safeway.
Right.
And then it's a march over to Orchard Park, which is just across catty corner from Three Rivers downtown. And this
So
year...
it's a few blocks. I mean,
few
if folks
blocks.
are planning on it, but they should
Yeah.
know, or I guess if folks didn't want to, or maybe the elderly could meet at the
Oh,
park.
sure. Absolutely. Yeah, if you don't want to do the walks, and the poetry slam, so we're still accepting folks, it's not really an application, but someone to reach out, and if they would like, if they have a poem or something that they've written and or something that they like that speaks to them around this issue, they can call Brandy at our office, which is 325-2805, to tell her, hey, I'd like to participate, this is what I want to present, and come join us for this poetry slam, and then we'll do a candlelight vigil when that's over, about 7:30.
Right. Okay. And that makes it a nice evening of for this event. And again, you've had, I think the crowds have been pretty steady, if not growing, over the years that you've been doing this, right?
Definitely growing. I mean, we get anywhere from 50 to 120 people. It just depends on the night. It depends on how cold it is. So
True.
watch the weather. We encourage everyone to come out, even if it gets a little chilly.
I won't even try to predict what Tuesday's weather is
No,
going to be.
I
It's been
know.
warm, it's been cold, it's been windy, it's been not windy. I have no idea.
Yeah,
but yeah.
exactly. So we just sort of plan on whatever.
Right.
And really encourage people
But
to
it's
come out.
it's happening, rain or shine.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
it goes.
Minus a big, massive snowstorm, which I think we're done with.
I'm hoping. Yep, me too.
Because
Yep.
we need fruit on our trees this year. So,
That's right.
Yeah, no more snow, no more freezing.
That's true.
Right.
But it is set for next Tuesday, everybody.
Tuesday. And that is actually the National Day of Action also. So April 2nd, across the country, there's a lot of different events happening.
Okay, perfect. Well, that's coming up. That is Take Back the Night, Tuesday, April 2nd, Orchard Park, next Tuesday in downtown Farmington. And again, you meet at the West Side Safeway and then march or walk those few blocks to Orchard Park there at Main and Orchard. And then they arrive by about 6:30 when the poetry slam and speakers start at the gazebo, I would assume, right there in
Yes.
the park, which is there. So
That's correct.
very good. Okay. And that is the first event of many in the month of April for SAS, for Sexual Assault
Right.
Services, right?
Right, yes. And so the next, later in the week,
Right.
on April 5th and 6th, which is why we have Haley and Annette here to
Aha.
talk about vagina monologues. This is, I neglected to actually look up how many years that the Empanadas, which is the group
that does it, right?
That does it, has been doing it. I know it's at least 10, and potentially more. And so someone who listens to the station, like the
Correct
old,
us if we're wrong.
Please do.
Write
I
a comment
really
on Facebook.
apologize.
That's okay. But for a number of years.
Yes. And what's really great is this is, now I believe, the second year it's been at the college. Is that correct? Which is a real opportunity to reach a lot of folks. And with the support from the college, with the plays, it's a real important opportunity for folks to come, students. And we actually talk about that it's really geared for age 14-ish and up, would you say?
Right.
Yeah.
hmm And I know the college has taken, I think, a bigger stand, too, on the month of April. And there's a lot of events that happen along with Sexual Assault Awareness Month here at the
Yes.
college. I think they changed the light in the clock tower to teal, to reflect that awareness. And so it seems to be a lot more of the college community getting involved.
Absolutely. The college has done an incredible job through Stacy Allen, who's the Title IX coordinator, and her whole committee of people who work really hard. They have a slew of events. In fact, you probably have that calendar on the college Facebook page, and we have it also. They're doing quite a few different things, and so if people want to go and find out, we're part of some of it. We're doing some presentations, some healthy relationships education, tabling events. I think we should probably pull it up and look at it at some point. I'll look while the gals are talking about V-Day.
Right.
Let's do that.
Okay, let's do that. We'll bring the other guests into the conversation here.
good.
Haley Bassing and Annette DiGiacomo are both here talking about the vagina monologues. And so you have both, as I mentioned, been involved with this before. And so here we go again. And this is a really important production, I think, for folks to attend, to listen to understand, to be a part of, for both men and women, I think, don't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you agree?
Absolutely.
And so, Annette, you've been involved for a number of years, as Haley has too.
This will be my 5th year participating, my 4th year organizing.
Right. And so why do you stay involved? Why is it so important to you to give up your valuable time and talents
for
to
the
be
past
involved
4
with
years,
this?
I've decided I was going to quit, and I was only going to act in it because acting is my passion. And every year I end up reorganizing it and doing it. But as a mother of daughters, I think it's super important to educate everyone. I also have a 7-year-old son, and let me tell you, he is the most educated child when it comes comes to sexual assault awareness. And so honestly, I do it because of educating people.
Sure.
I think the more you educate your community, the more you can make progress happen.
Very good. Haley, same question to you. You've been involved with this for a number of years as well, and I know you're not a not busy person, so why do you stay involved with this for as long as you do?
It's really important. It really opened my eyes in college and after college, how many friends that I have that are survivors. And then now, later on, I have a ton of colleagues that are survivors, you know, and I've always, down in Las Cruces, the first time I directed, got involved with that a little bit, and then when I moved back to Farmington, I found you one day at the Civic Center, and I was like, let's get it going, you know. I have a theater background, and so I figured, like, this is my craft. It's something that I could offer to the community to take those steps and make this show be good. You know, where this year specifically, we're trying to make it less theatrical and more, here's a message that we have to deliver, we have something to say, and get back to the roots of E. Vinsler's writing.
Right. Yet you still want to make it, I don't know if entertaining is the correct word, because it's a serious message, but certainly you want your audiences to come and appreciate the message that they're hearing and seeing on stage. So I don't know what the right word for that is.
I don't know. This year I'm trying to direct it in a way. I always have my dad in the back of my head. He's a very respectable Christian man. And so I want to do things that he would sit through and appreciate. And then at the end of the day, be proud of me for it. So we're trying to get away from that raunchiness. Like, just the title in general, people struggle with saying the vagina monologues. But at the same time, it's important. We need to bring that awareness and make people not necessarily make it an everyday word, but don't be afraid to say it.
Sure.
And don't be afraid to express yourself in that positive way.
That's a good point, I think, too, because even the issue of sexual assault we don't always talk about or like to talk about it or would rather not talk about it, but it's here and it's happening and in our community, even if you think it's not. You're not paying attention because we've had this conversation time and time again. And so this is one of the things that I think the Vagina Monologues maybe forces families or couples who attend to think about and maybe talk about on the drive home or have that conversation with the daughter or a son of why this is so important to talk about and not hide behind it.
Absolutely. And I think it's important for folks who are still unfamiliar with Vagina Monologues and V-Day. V-Day itself is an international movement. Haley mentioned E. Vinsler, and she's the creator of initially the Vagina Monologues, and now this international movement around helping to recognize and stop sexual violence. And I think people need to know that when she first started doing the monologues, it was based on her interviews of women who experienced not just sexual violence, but other types of forms of harm, domestic violence, and just experiences around sex and sexuality that have always not been okay to talk about. And when she was doing these monologues, it was just her on a stage in New York City. And every time, and she also traveled and did it. And every time she'd finish, she had a line of survivors waiting to talk to her, to tell her their story. And she decided that she either had to completely stop doing this because it was so much, it was so hard to hear, or she needed to do something with it that was going to create a movement, and that is absolutely what she did. So we really encourage people to read a little bit, get on their website, understand the history around it, and know that this is not a Farmington unique thing. This is happening across the globe. And the plays, the performances, there's several, not just Vagina Monologues. There's one called A Memory, a Monologue, a Rant, and a Prayer. We've done that here before.
That's right.
There's what's the dance? The 1 Billion Rising. That's an international movement. And when communities come together to do this play, the proceeds from it they pick a nonprofit, and it's usually one like ours that is a rape crisis center.
Sure.
And some of the money goes to the international cause. And they do incredible work over in Africa and the Congo, helping remove young girls, women, teenagers out of abusive situations and getting them educated, housing, sort of out of the really horrible things that can be happening to them in those communities where there are things like female genital mutilation going on and other types of violence and oppression. So it is this larger movement that when people come, they need to know some of that background, and we try to provide that both nights. We'll have some introduction. There's some pieces throughout it that explain, but we also, it can be shocking, and it is shocking to people because they're not used to talking about these things and hearing about it. And so we always tell people, you're going to come and you're going to laugh, you're going to cry, you're going to be confused, you're going to have all these slew of emotions, and that's kind of the point, is to get the dialogue going on that we talked about a minute ago.
Absolutely.
Right. And to direct something like this and to perform in something like this, I mean, it is kind of a fine line, I suppose, and a balancing act, right? To do it in a, as you said, less raunchy way or more respectful way, or something that, that Dad would approve of or Grandma would approve of,
exactly.
or those
and
kinds of things, right?
Yeah, we're not trying to go for shock value. I think in general in our society, the rape culture is shock value, and it's unfortunate, you know. This year we're lucky enough to have one of SAS's staff members, Brandy. She's actually going to be in the show. She's one of the actors. So that's cool to kind of intertwine those two things. And the character that she plays, she gives facts, which is really good because that's what she does for a living. You know, she goes into the schools and talks to high school students about healthy relationships and all of that. So it's great that we have sexual assault services in our community. It's very important because they're going in at a young age and talking to teenagers to help try to end violence in relationships. And it doesn't matter the gender of them.
Right.
There's a lot of stereotypes that go in with that. So to break those and to be a part of it. This year in the cast, and I think they did it last year, but the man prayer. So we have men in the play, which is something that hasn't been done in the past. So it's great to have that energy and those people involved.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and when we talk about prevention, I mean, we've talked for years that sexual violence and domestic violence, violence against women is not just a women's issue. Women are the majority of victims, but men and boys are victims as well. And though men are 90-ish% of the offenders in cases, that's what's really important, is men listen to men. They listen to each other. And so working on the prevention end with our community of men who are supportive, because that's the majority of people, right? Most people do not think that this is okay. So then we go, well, why is it still happening? And that's where we're really trying to build that prevention piece, and really involving men in all aspects of the work is incredibly important. So I'm really glad to hear that we're having that component of the plays being performed this year.
Right. That's very good. And Annette, let me ask you, as a mom of young boys and girls, it's important for them to be in the audience for this type of a show. And how young is too young, or is
well, the first year my daughter performed in it, she was 8, I want to say, and she will be performing in it again. There were 2 years in a row where I had both of my girls. My oldest daughter is 18. She graduates from high school this year. I think she was in it her first year at 15. And it's something that I do with my mother, my daughters, and my son unfortunately has to be at rehearsals because I have a husband who travels. So, and my son is 7, and I've been doing this for 5 years. So he's been a part of this for 5 years. So he was really young when we started. But it's important for him to understand that you can talk about those things, and it's important for him to understand consent. My daughter recently had an issue at school where a boy wouldn't leave her alone, and she kept saying no and no and no, and finally she ended up having to knee him to get him to leave her alone. While I don't condone violence, it was the perfect teaching opportunity for my son. You know, he and I sat down and I said, you know, if a girl or a boy says no, that's it, end of the line. And he says, yeah, I know, Mom, I respect girls. 7-year-old. Right. If a 7-year-old can get it, then we can go and teach more people. My husband, he and I see on very different political spectrums. He's an avid outdoorsman. He hunts and all of that stuff. And I forced him to come one year because I was in it. His daughters were in it. He had to support us. And since that time, he is the first to tell you, you need to go see this. It's not what you think. Yeah. And he'll tell anyone who will listen to him, and that man can talk for days. So it's important to have people like that to change someone's view. Yeah. And I always say, and again, I want to quit every year because it's just exhausting, but if I change one person's perspective, I've done my job. Yeah.
Right.
So that's why I'm here year and year again.
And you're back. Here you are. But it's important, I think, for everyone to hear that message, though, about how, you know, folks who maybe wouldn't be caught dead at the vagina monologues or wouldn't even think of going should go. Buy a ticket and go.
When people ask what it is, I tell them it's an experience. It's not, you're not going to go watch a play. You're going to go experience a play, because you are going to feel, like Ileana said, every emotion imaginable. You're going to get mad. You're going to be sad. You're going to laugh because some of it's funny. You're going to be uncomfortable, but you're going to walk away thinking about that discomfort and where it came from and what you can do to fix it. And it's so important for everyone.
And again, this has been performed in the area for a number of years, as we were talking about, and the exact number we're still waiting for someone to tell us.
10 plus,
10
we're going to say. Yes.
But I imagine a lot of the reactions and the stories after the production that you hear, maybe standing in the lobby or as folks are streaming out, can be life-changing in some cases.
Absolutely. So that's why we also provide support around the plays, and a lot of the other things I finally found what the college is a slew of things. We have the calendar to go through.
Yes, and it's
there's
extensive.
A lot,
Yes.
But we'll have a table there. We'll have some staff there both nights of the plays. The other really neat thing that's going on is we are doing a silent auction both nights, and it's another way for folks to support the agency. All the proceeds from the silent auction will come to SAS. Everything's been donated, and there's quite the variety of things, from tattoos to paintings to, you kind of have more of the, we're still gathering, by the way.
Right.
So if you have something that you would like to
absolutely.
help us silent auction off, please contact us at the office, or Annette or Haley. So we try to create an event around that, and just everything ties it together. And that's where I was thinking maybe we could look at the calendar from the college on the Awareness Month events, because there are other things that they're going to see, people can come to the college to look at. For example, they have a workshop actually tomorrow, right? It's March 29th.
That would be later on today, because we're Friday morning that we're on the radio.
Oh,
so later today.
I'm off a day.
Later today. You lost a day this week. It's been so busy. But later today there's something happening.
Yes. It's our Bodies Our Mind workshop, and that is in Henderson. Just here this morning from 10 to noon.
Okay. All right.
Starting April 1st, they're doing Let Teal Speak for You out in the Sun's Room Salon. And that's where you can get your nails done, paint.
Oh, right.
You know, so teal is the color, is the awareness color. So maybe you can see my ribbon.
Right.
That's our awareness color, and so we encourage people to just wear your stuff, wear your teal, and so you can do nails. I think they're doing hair extensions or some kind of hair dye. So that's kind of fun. And then they have Take Back the Night on here, and I can't read. So, there's the Healthy Relationship Toolkit series. So that's part of what my staff is involved in. Then we have the plays. We're doing a presentation for the Latino community with a partner with Enlace here at the college. I mean, there's just this slew of things. There's a couple movies. Wind River and Audrey and Daisy are being shown, also with some panel question kind of follow-up to these films. So if people haven't watched a movie like Wind River from that perspective of sexual violence, because that is what happens in the movie,
right?
It's a new way to view it, and then to have some discussion around, oh my gosh, the incredible high amount of sexual violence that occurs to Native women. It's 1 in 2 Native women will experience sexual violence in their lifetime, and this feature film highlights that on a reservation, and it's incredibly powerful. So I would just, if you'll share on your Facebook page, and we'll run through the rest of it. Yeah.
Let's take a short break, actually, and when we come back, we might be able to show a little bit of some of these events that we're talking about. I know there's another event to benefit SAS later on in the month of April that we'll be talking about, which is a little more active for some of our listeners. And so we'll take a short break. When we come back, more with my guests in just a moment right here, everyone, on KSJE. This program is supported by San Juan Health Partners Urology, providing a wide range of personalized services for the whole family, including children. Our caring professionals are dedicated to helping meet your urology health needs with skill, experience, and service you need. For a complete listing of our services and to learn more, visit sanjuanhealthpartners.com or call 505-609-6300. San Juan Health Partners Urology, a division of San Juan Regional Medical Center. Friday morning here on KSJE. You're listening to the Scott Michlin Morning Program. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in at 90.9 FM or streaming at KSJE.com. And a special good morning to our viewers who are watching us live on the KSJE Facebook page and YouTube channel. We are talking about many of the events that are happening during the month of April to commemorate Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And Eliana Butler is here, the Executive Director of Sexual Assault Services of Northwest New Mexico. Once again, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
You're very welcome. Haley Bassing is here, who is the Director of the Vagina Monologues this year. Good morning again to you.
Good morning.
And Annette DiGiacomo is here. She is the organizer of the Vagina Monologues. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thank you all very much for being here to talk about this great series of events. And we just got through talking a little bit about some of the things that San Juan College is doing. There's a whole calendar, really, of events happening here at the college, including how that involves Native American populations. And you'd mentioned that the rates, unfortunately, for Native American women are much, much higher than others in the population.
That's right. And what we used to talk about was 1 in 3 Native women, and we actually think that we know now for sure, at least it's 1 in 2. So it sounds like it went up. What we actually know is it's being tracked a little bit better.
More reporting or more tracking?
I think more tracking, and that's one of the. If you're paying attention to legislative sessions here in New Mexico and nationally, there's a lot of push to do good tracking of missing and murdered Indigenous women, and that's where some of these numbers are coming out from more. So really unfortunate and tough to talk about, and in the part of the state that we live in, that's what we see in our numbers.
Right, but as difficult as it is to talk about it, it's also, we really shouldn't be ignoring it either.
No, we should not be ignoring it, because it's a huge problem. And part of what the play is doing, and I'll let Annette talk about just for a moment, is there is a piece that's very specific to Native women.
Annette?
Yes.
That sounds like a segue to you, right?
Yes, the piece is called Crooked Braid. It's actually not in the script. We have to get special permission to perform it, along with special permission to perform in April. And it addresses the domestic violence and the rape that actually goes on in this woman's marriage, and how, and at the end of it, you know, she's on the phone with her son, who is in the same cycle that her husband was in. I've witnessed it be so healing to perform for people. More than one woman. She's in tears by the end of it, and we have audience members in tears by the end of it, because it is so moving and so I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. It's that kind of touching. It's very important in this area, like Ileana mentioned.
Sure.
It's so crucial for people to know, survivors to know that they're not alone. And that is one of the other big stigmas around sexual violence. Is, so we talked about the silent epidemic and the silence around it, and that victims often feel silenced for a lot of different reasons. And so to actually hear a piece like this that is very specific and can be part of that incredible healing process is very important.
Right.
Absolutely.
And it brings up another point, too, I think, about the production of the Vagina Monologues, because it isn't necessarily the same production that people have seen in maybe past years, because aren't there different elements you can bring in and take away and change it from
The script does change
year to year?
yearly,
So
yes.
I mean, if I went and saw it last year, that doesn't mean I'll see the same show this year.
Right.
Unless you still come back
and
and
the
see
cast members change, too. I mean, we have how many new people this year?
We have a ton of new people. That's the best part for me. I could be selfish with that moment, is I get the opportunity to work in the community with these women. It's all volunteer-based, and so it's cool to be able to be there when they're making these breakthroughs, and to witness this and share these moments and bring women together. Sometimes it's like herding cats, trying to get everybody in the same place at the same time, but when that happens, it's powerful. You know, we're able to share past experiences with each other and just be that sisterhood and a couple of men who can support each other. And so even outside of the play and the production, we're a community of people that are able to love each other and help each other and just exist in this world together, which is really special for everybody involved. And hopefully as an audience member, you're able to feel that and have that experience.
Right. Very much so, very much so. Before we move on to another topic, I do want to share the calendar that we did call up here from San Juan College of some of the many events happening here related to San Juan College. And so there's a number of things that are going on throughout the entire month of April, and including an event that took place, or will be taking place tonight. as we were mentioning, right, Our Bodies, Our Mind workshop. But as you can see, there's a number of things, a few films that are going to be shown. We mentioned, I think, the Audrey and Daisy movie later on in the month on April 30th.
And also, Haley reminded us that Piedra Vista High School is also showing the film Audrey and Daisy. And if people haven't seen it, it's incredibly powerful, disturbing, and important.
Yeah.
So we're also building some support around the showing of both Wind River and Audrey and Daisy, because you can't just go watch it and leave.
Right.
There needs to be discussion, processing, and support.
Sure. And so that the other airing, the showing of that movie?
It's going to be April 12th at the Toronto Crispin Performing Arts Theatre. And we're fortunate to have SAS there. So they're there for people if they need to disclose or they need some counseling or any of those steps that come around whenever you view something like this.
Right.
So.
Because that does happen. I think it does really, these powerful films do tend to remind folks or trigger things that maybe need to be talked about, and it's great to have a resource there.
Absolutely.
Right
yeah,
then.
we so appreciate the partnership with everyone in the community, and you know, I really feel in this 15th year of our services that we've had that over the years was really coming together, and the knowledge about who we are, what we do, the connections in the community, what people are. Back in the early 2000s when we started, nobody really wanted to show a film like Audrey and Daisy, or let alone the vagina monologues being performed. And there was a lot of years where we struggled, or the group struggled, of where it was going to even be performed.
Right, sure.
And so you just look at that over time and say, wow, the connections are amazing. And we get calls every day, especially in April, because it's the awareness time. So my staff and myself are all over the place, from Shiprock to Crown Point to Dulce, Gallup. We have an office in Gallup now. That's part of our growth. We have 5 staff members in Gallup, so we have a really robust program down there. So it's sort of we're at this tipping point where it's the growth is incredibly important, and people are really willing to reach out and seek help.
And something to be proud about of our communities that are embracing these messages and supporting the work that's being done by your organization, and just the work that's being done by some of these performances, movies, and films that are being shown. I think it shows a lot of growth from the communities as well.
Absolutely. Yes.
So that's wonderful to say. Before we run out of time, you do have another event
we
that we do want to talk about, because it is a fundraiser for SAS.
Yes.
Correct?
So people may know the name now. It's the Sassy Tortoise and Hare Run, and there's the logo for the year. This is our 8th annual.
I'm more of the tortoise, if you hadn't noticed, probably, than the hare, but yeah.
Well, that's just where you say you were so fast you never left the finish. You couldn't even tell you left the start line.
That's probably true. That's true.
So we're really excited this year. It's our 8th annual run, and this is the 2nd year, though, that we will be out at Wines of the San Juan.
Okay.
And that was a really nice change for us to partner with the winery. We used to do it at Lions Wilderness, which a lot of people liked also.
But they don't have wine.
They don't have wine. I mean, what else do you have to say?
They don't.
Right?
We have to say it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's April 27th, so we'll be ending the awareness month this year with the Sassy Tortoise and Hare Run. The registration is live. People will go to runningguru.com, and if you go to our Facebook page, again, there's an event with the link to runningguru.com. That is actually how you register.
Okay.
Yes, there's a 10K run, a 5K run, and a 5K walk. Both the runs are a competition, so there will be prizes for the top male and female runners, top 3, male and female. So we have a bunch of prizes we give away.
Right, okay.
And then the walkers, we love our walkers. They just come to support and get out there and really enjoy the beautiful weather and the location. And then we also have a 1 Mile Kids run and or walk, and they're amazing. And they'll run it like 4 times. So they do way more than the rest of us. So all of that.
Inexhaustible energy of children,
yes,
right?
That's right.
Yes,
that's right. So all of that is on through the Facebook page, runningguru.com, and that is also really growing. The other cool thing about all 3 events we just talked about is that they were voted in as part of Farmington's Jolt Your Journey-worthy events.
Jolt-worthy events, right? Yes, exactly. That's true, right.
Jolt-worthy events. So the city of Farmington, the committee that votes on these, I was there and presented them, and the amount of support in the room around these, and they're very different. They're all incredibly different ways to get out there, speak out, participate in some way around this issue. And so what an incredible accomplishment also to be able to say that and get that support.
Right. Very good. Well, congratulations, because I know that takes some doing to get that committee to agree, and so to give it a little extra oomph in promotion and marketing and things like that.
Absolutely.
What we're talking about. So again, to kind of recap, in the moments that we have remaining this morning, the first event is going to be on April 2nd. Take Back the Night, and that is happening downtown Farmington, beginning about 5:30.
Yes, at Safeway. That's when everyone will start gathering, put your signs together, make new signs, and leave at 6 o'clock.
Okay, there you go. And then the Vagina Monologues, again, will be on stage later that same week, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes, Friday the 5th and Saturday the 6th.
Okay.
At 7 p.m., San Juan College Little Theater. And come early so you can look at all the silent auction items that will be available, and know that if you come on Friday night and you bid on silent auction items and there's something you really want, you might need to show back up Saturday, because that auction goes all the way through on Saturday.
Good to know. So that's important. So that is happening Friday and Saturday, and then of course we have the Sassy Run that we just talked about later on in the month to wrap up the month.
Right.
Okay, and that again will be on the 27th.
Yes.
At Wines of the San Juan.
Yeah, and if anyone has questions about any of this, you can go to our Facebook page. You can also call the office, 325-2805. And as the month goes on and you hear more and more about what's happening, if there's other ways you want to look at participating, the other thing we're doing, I'll just mention briefly in our short time left, with the 15th anniversary is we are looking to increase our donor base to SAS, and so we're tying in that number 15. So our goal over the course of this year is to have 150 $15 a month donors.
Okay.
So when you do that math, 150 people donating $15 a month, that's about $27,000 of funding into the agency that allows us to continue this incredible work. So, that's less than 2 lattes a month for those of you that do that daily or even like 4 times a week.
Yeah. When you put it that way.
It's really nothing, and you don't miss it. You can do auto withdrawal. We have PayPal. We have several different ways that folks can contribute. So call me. We can talk about your options, and we would love to really bring people into the fold and help us continue to grow.
That would be great. And again, it makes a big difference when it all adds up to your budget of what you can do and offer to the communities.
Absolutely.
And again, you mentioned that you're here in San Juan County and now serving the Gallup area, and so it's really important work.
Yes, it is. And so maybe I'll come back on when we do our open house, because the other thing is in our growth is we just moved. We're in week 2, I think, of the big move. We've doubled our space.
Wow.
And that has created another really great opportunity for us to increase the amount of services we provide. And so that could be another conversation probably, but that's just another, just as people understand the momentum that's happening now, it's kind of exponentially happening over this
That's
year.
very exciting. And you're always welcome back, so come back anytime.
Thanks.
All
I
right.
appreciate it.
Thank you all for coming in this morning, everybody, to talk a little bit about these great events that are happening during the month of April to celebrate and commemorate Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott.
All right, you're very welcome. My guests here on KSJE, celebrating and talking about Sexual Assault Awareness Month here in San Juan County. Back with more in just a moment, everybody. This is KSJE.